I mean, there are a lot of things. Things that would also be counted as American or America. The, like I say, the Alaskan pipelines. I mean, since I named America, I was switching everything over to America, basically, because I mean, even Germany was kind of like New America because I was switching all this, all the forms of government over to the American system because it was the best system that I could think of for dealing with problems and everything else. It was my greatest system, so I thought it was best to use that. So anyway, though, but the whole point is that, which is basically a council and then two leaders, or basically the president, vice president. I thought that would be the best system, basically used for redundancy and everything else like that. But basically, all the projects, the like the road to Alaska and everything else, the all the mega roads and all that other stuff, that was Lucifer Starr. That was, well, Brian, it's me basically, and they put it under the terms of America because I just purchased in America, so I was doing it as American. Some of it was American because that's where at some point in time America was finally set up to where it could provide steam and steel and stuff like that, and I could reinforce what I already had going. Like I said, Germany was running out of minerals and running out of materials. I was using Germany as basically my backbone for starting up other countries. Huge investment at first, but if it worked, once it worked, the once you get enough supplies out there, once you get enough steam equipment out there, once you get enough steel out there, the effects would be like catapulting. Like it's like, and it's really, 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 really a big struggle. But once you get that tension, and I mean, it's a really hard thing to tool up, to create, to build, to get all the factories set up. But once the factory is set up and you're like pushing hard, for the other nations and for the rest of the world, it's like, you basically, instead of people struggling to get the first amount of metal, the first amount of everything, you just basically launch into basically production. And basically it's like a devastating wave of production, and helping all these other countries form up, and then what you get is a much 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 greater whole, basically a powerhouse. Yeah, on production, which can which so once you get everything established, then you can actually just like, I mean, at first it's like high rev, for one country, and then once the rest of the world gets its mining set up and its steam set up and it starts producing metal and everything else like that, then as a whole you can just go, and that's a nice low production. And it's kind of silly, but that was my theory basically. Although things like Chernobyl, where the whole city was a loss, it was like, oh fuck, 30 years down the drain. Well, I mean, we got like 250 years out of the city and all that other stuff, so it wasn't a failure. It wasn't a complete failure. And they did create a lot of uranium and a lot of thorium and a lot of other stuff, which is used virtually around the world. So it was still a success, but I didn't intend to lose the city. That was an inadvertent side effect, and the place was robbed basically. So anyway, all this stuff, I mean, like, and that's why there's all these films of all these building projects, and then later on in the videos, in the music videos and the movies and stuff, I have all these locations where we're using my epic buildings, because they last so long. The stone buildings could last 150 years easy. So, or 250 years, no problem. 500 years, not really a big deal. Granite rock doesn't really go anywhere. It just sits there really. So a lot of these buildings could be used over and 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 over again, and there was nothing that could actually really change them. They're very much, citadels that would just be there. If built right, they would last forever, or at least a very long time. That's why I went with the thick stone, because it's a lot harder to move and it's a lot harder to build. But once you get it there, once you get the building built, well, it's got 10-foot thick wall. It's got 3-foot thick walls and it's solid granite. It's not really gonna go anywhere. It's, I mean, unless you hit it with a cannon or attack it, like seriously. So that's what that all was about. It was all set up with steam. It was all steam power, steam trains, steam out of everything. We just lugged the things by steam and steel, basically. And then we got it there, we built them and got them set up. And it was a big undertaking, but it's epic existence, basically. And that's why, and then other tourists can come and see them and go, ooh, wow. And for the life of them, they were actually factories. Like now they're houses, and now they're things like churches and places of whatever worship. But back in the old days, they were factories. They were the state-of-the-art factories. I built all my stuff out of stone. And some of those stone buildings I even used as steam pressure vessels, because the stone could also be used. It seals up with a little bit of lead and some other stuff. You could seal up a stone room, and then basically boil water and stuff like that, and have steam pressure. Low pressure steam anyway. I like low pressure steam. It's easy to do low pressure steam, and you can get a fair amount of power out of low pressure steam if you use a weight. If you use a weight where the weight's keeping the motion going, it's centrifugal force. So once it gets going, it stays at a constant rate, and so then the machines just all day long. But the secret is the giant rock weight. They would use a big huge stone weight, basically, and once the weight got moving, you would stay moving. Later on, we did the same idea with cast iron. Once the weight gets moving, it stays moving. So it's got a lot of energy, to basically run equipment and everything else like that. And that's how you do the high power things with low amounts of pressure and power. So anyway, yeah, all the stuff, that was me, basically. I had to know all this stuff, and that was my theory, and it worked. It worked. Water power worked. Everything worked. My textiles ran 24 hours a day with minimum staff, basically. You just literally pour in ingredients on one side, and you get nice, good, clean cloth and thread out the other side. It worked. I was right. Told you. I'm an epic leader. So, anyway. And I would be going, for the rest of for thousands of years or hundreds of years, going, ha! I told you. Told you I was right. Anyway, and all that other stuff. So, and that's why there's all those stone buildings and all those textiles, which actually could still be in use today. I mean, they have electric motors and this and that, which is more efficient. Yeah, whatever. Mine worked fine. Just replace the wooden things and it would still work. Those textiles could still be running. They're perfectly good textiles. Anyway, yeah. Could run for thousands of years, hundreds of years. Just put in cotton on one side and you get cloth or paper out the other side. Just have a couple staff member there to watch the machines, make sure they didn't get fouled, grease them regularly, and they would just all day, all night, 24 hours a day, make thousands, millions of feet of cloth. Lucifer Star. Me. Anyway, so that's why I own all those old cities and all those old towns, and why I own half the world. It wasn't even drugs. It was production. It was pure, raw production. I was a visionary. And all that. So, and I had a lot of people that like to live and like to just produce things and invent things. And lots of little children. Mwah! I love the children. So cute. So amazing. So anyway, and I had faith in my children too. Unlike other people, I didn't just hand children guns and say, go get me things. I said, let's invent. Let's build. And they love to build. So, and great things. The the Great Brian Clock Tower, known as Big Ben. One on each side, I think, or something like that. All my epic buildings. Still standing after all these years. So, and my wall, my seawall, ugh, My seawall. I'll never forget that seawall.